Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on I Am Mortal, a movie about fighting for your right to die. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Please check out my books. Links are in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Available at Amazon.com and Kindle Unlimited is free. Okay. So, I Am Mortal is a future in which everybody is immortal as long as they take the maintenance, which is some kind of drug they take that keeps them alive forever. But they wonder, would their life be better if they didn't know they were going to live forever? It's an interesting question. But yeah, I think it's more complex than that in the movie. I think the maintenance makes people empty, I guess. This is the guy behind the maintenance and keeping everybody alive forever. I don't know if the characters have been around for hundreds of years or whatever. But this guy basically goes through the trouble of being like unhooked from the system so he can finally die. He goes through a treatment, and that's considered a revolutionary act in this world. This is a true science fiction movie because it's dealing with this futuristic setup, and it's going through like, do you have the right to die, basically? Do you have the right? I thought that was Jude Law, but it's not, I don't think. So it's a big statement kind of sci-fi movie, and these are the kinds. These are the kinds we need. This is what they're about. This is what they used to be. It would be based on a sci-fi story. Is it based on a book? No, it doesn't say. Let's see who wrote it. Lots of executive. Written and directed by Tony Aloops. Tony Aloops. Doing all the heavy lifting here creatively. Good for him. Good for him. I like the cut of your jib, Tony. It's ambitious to do it this way, and you're all in on the concept, obviously. The whole society's built on that. The whole plot of the movie's built on that. It's a big risk. It's a huge risk, because if you're not on board with the concept, you're not going to see this movie, or you're going to get 10 minutes in and go, eh. But I kind of like it in that it's committed to the idea. A lot of movies, they're just not really, let's see, do we have a date on this? No. They're not totally committed to their movie. They're not totally committed to the concept, so they kind of hedge their bet by throwing a few more elements in. No, this is a sci-fi movie, 100%. 100% dystopian. They got the young adult angle, which I could tolerate because they don't. I'm going to give it an upvote, actually. Rare upvote from me. And they got an excuse for a totally young cast, like nobody ages, obviously. So everybody's young except the one guy. And some pretty hot girls in this, too. So, yeah, I mean, this is 100% Sean Gunn. I guess that's the main actor. Sean Gunn. I'm not familiar with his work. It's totally committed to the concept. So, it says here, the human race has achieved immortality through genetic vaccine. Oh, interesting. But in this utopian society, a band of rebels fight the status quo to reclaim their right to die. So you don't even have the right to die. You have to live forever. So it's a really interesting concept. Ties into things that are going on today. Obviously, I won't say. So first act, you set up the society. You got to be pretty committed to that, that concept. You spend the first act explaining what it is, and that no one dies. No one has died, I assume, in a long time. And they start to question that. Is that the right way to live? Have you really lived if there's no chance of dying? And this guy, in the second act, goes all the way. He somehow finds the right people to get unhooked from this system, whatever it is. And he does, and it's a revolutionary act. And then, will society crumble? Will other people follow him? Obviously, there's some scenes with people going, "We have to stop him," that kind of stuff. So obviously they're against it. I'm not exactly sure why. That's going to be an interesting thing to explain in the movie. Why would the elites be against their own people dying? Because wouldn't that leave more resources for the people around? Wouldn't that leave more resources for the elite? Usually the elites have the opposite problem. I like to kill a few billion people. These guys, it's the opposite. So that's going to be a very interesting question to answer in this world. So I find this entire trailer intriguing. I mean, it's committed. It looks interesting. You got a nice young cast. You got a reason for a nice young cast, and you've got interesting questions to answer. So I am mortal. I don't know when it's coming out, so I assume within the next 2 months, probably on streaming. It doesn't look to be a big movie, but it doesn't look to be super small. I mean, it's a low budget because there's no celebrities in it that I can see. I mean, Sean Gunn gets a heading here, so I assume he is. Let's see, where is he? He's not even listed on here. I didn't even see him listed on here. And oh yeah, here he is last. Sean Gunn. I assume that's the older actor. That's probably the older actor who does the whole thing, because he's listed last. Probably means he's the big name, and he is not in the movie as much as the protagonist. But this looks good. Looks at the very least, if it's not a good movie, it'll bring up interesting questions. I think it'll be entertaining. If you're a sci-fi head, this is for you. And that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for more base takes, news blasts, and a Hollywoke hot take. We'll see you